Welcome to this sacred space of tarot and self-reflection, dear soul. Before we step into the depth of this reading, take a quiet moment to ground yourself. This is not just a casual message, it is an energetic encounter. Your presence here carries meaning. You didn't arrive here randomly, something within you was guided. By choosing to stay connected to such spaces, you allow messages of clarity, truth, and inner awakening to reach you exactly when you need them. Today's reading carries a powerful, almost electric vibration, something that feels alive, charged, and impossible to ignore. The message itself is striking. There is something about you that deeply affects others. Your presence doesn't go unnoticed. It stirs emotions, triggers thoughts, and sometimes even unsettles people in ways they may not fully understand. This is not about surface-level attraction or attention. It runs much deeper. It is about the energy you carry, the essence you embody, and the quiet intensity of your being. As the cards unfold, a rare and beautiful combination appears, the sun and the star together. This pairing is not common, and its appearance speaks volumes. There is a warmth in your energy that feels almost tangible, like standing under sunlight after a long, cold night. You radiate something that others can feel even if they cannot explain it. It's not forced, not performed. It simply exists as a natural extension of who you are. The sun reflects your core essence, the part of you that is authentic, expressive, and unapologetically alive. You may not always be aware of it, but you carry a presence that naturally draws attention. There is a main character energy around you, not in an ego-driven way, but in a way that suggests you are fully inhabiting your own life. Many people move through the world disconnected from themselves, shaped by routine, fear, or past wounds. But when you enter a space, you bring a reminder of something they have lost, their own spark, their own authenticity. And that reminder can be both beautiful and uncomfortable for them. Beside it, the star adds another layer, one of peace, healing, and quiet resilience. While the sun is vibrant and outward, the star is gentle and inward. It speaks of a deep emotional or spiritual calm that you carry within yourself. Even when life is not perfect, even when you are navigating challenges, there is something in you that remains steady. Others notice this more than you realize. They see how you hold yourself together, how you continue forward with grace, and it confuses them. They wonder how you manage to stay grounded when they themselves feel overwhelmed. What they are sensing is not perfection, it is alignment. And yet this powerful light you carry has another effect, one that is not always easy to face. The appearance of the moon reveals this shadow aspect. You act as a mirror for others. When people look at you, they don't always see you clearly. They see themselves reflected back. Your light illuminates what they have hidden, ignored, or suppressed within themselves. For someone who carries insecurity, your confidence may feel intimidating. For someone who has abandoned their dreams, your authenticity may feel like a painful reminder. This is where the discomfort, the envy, or even the tension arises. It's important to understand this clearly. This reaction is not truly about you. It is about what your presence awakens in others. You are not responsible for how people process their own reflections. Your role is not to dim your light to make others comfortable. In fact, doing so would only disconnect you from your own truth. At the same time, this doesn't mean seeing yourself as above others or untouchable. The grounded perspective here is that everyone carries both light and shadow, including you. The difference is that you may be more aware of it or more willing to face it. That willingness is what creates growth, depth, and that unmistakable energy others feel. This next layer of the reading carries a sharper, more sobering tone because not all reactions to your energy are passive or harmless. The appearance of the Seven of Swords introduces a subtle but important warning. When someone shines brightly, it doesn't just attract admiration. It can also attract imitation, comparison, and at times quiet competition. There are individuals around you who, consciously or unconsciously, study you. They observe how you speak, how you present yourself, how you move through situations, and then they try to replicate it, not because they truly understand you, but because they sense that something about you works. This isn't always malicious in an obvious way. Sometimes it shows up as people adopting your mannerisms, echoing your ideas, or downplaying your efforts while quietly borrowing from them. In more difficult cases, it can turn into subtle undermining, where someone praises you outwardly, but internally competes or tries to diminish your impact to feel more secure in themselves. The core of it isn't that they want to become you. It's that they don't yet know how to become themselves. And instead of doing that inner work, they reach outward. So the message here isn't paranoia, it's awareness. You don't need to suspect everyone, but you do need to trust your instincts. Pay attention to consistency. Notice who celebrates you genuinely versus who seems to shift energy depending on the situation. Your energy is valuable, not in a mystical, untouchable sense, but in the very real way that your time, attention, and authenticity have impact. Protecting that doesn't make you cold. It makes you grounded. Then comes the Nine of Wands, and here the emotional truth surfaces. Carrying this kind of presence, being this perceptive, being this impactful, it's not always easy. It can be exhausting to feel like you're constantly on, constantly being read, interpreted, or reacted to. Even if you don't seek attention, it finds you. And over time, that creates a kind of fatigue. You may find yourself putting up boundaries, becoming more selective, sometimes even withdrawing, not because you've lost your warmth, but because you've learned the cost of giving it too freely. This isn't weakness. It's a natural response to overstimulation and emotional labor. When people project onto you their expectations, insecurities, or admiration, it creates pressure. And whether you believe in concepts like the evil eye or not, the experience itself is real. That sense of being watched, evaluated, or energetically pulled on. Your system reacts to it. So you adapt. You build resilience, but also distance where needed. And that's exactly where the Queen of Swords steps in, not as a cold figure, but as a clear one. This energy represents a shift from people-pleasing to self-respect. You begin to understand that kindness without boundaries turns into self-neglect. You start choosing honesty over harmony when necessary. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. There's a clarity in your communication now, a precision. You don't cut people off impulsively, but you do cut through confusion, manipulation, and false praise with much less hesitation. This is where your power becomes stable. Not loud, not aggressive, just firm. You recognize that not everyone deserves full access to you, and you stop feeling guilty about that. Ironically, this makes you even more compelling to others. When someone is no longer easily influenced or available for validation, they become harder to read, and that mystery draws people in even more. But the difference now is that you're no longer trying to manage their reactions. The energy then shifts into something more magnetic and relational with the presence of the lovers. There is a natural harmony within you that people can sense. It's not about perfection, it's about integration. You're not fragmented in the same way many people feel internally. There's a balance in how you think, feel, and express yourself that creates a kind of coherence. And that coherence is attractive, not just romantically, but energetically. People feel at ease and intrigued at the same time around you. There's a familiarity, almost like recognition, even in brief encounters. That's because when someone carries a strong sense of self, it creates clarity, and clarity stands out. Others may interpret this as chemistry, attraction, or even obsession, but at its core, it's resonance. They're responding to something that feels whole. The Hierophant brings depth to all of this. It points to something steady, rooted, and principled within you. There's a sense that you move with intention, even if you don't always articulate it. You may value growth, truth, or personal evolution in a way that shapes your decisions quietly but consistently. And people notice that, even if they can't quite define it. This doesn't mean you have secret knowledge or some elevated status. It simply means you've likely spent time reflecting, learning, and understanding yourself on a deeper level than most people around you. That creates a grounded confidence, not the kind that needs to prove anything, but the kind that doesn't easily collapse under pressure. When all of these energies come together, the message becomes clear. Your presence has influence because it's built on awareness, not performance. Some people will admire it, some will misunderstand it, and some will react defensively to it. But none of those reactions define you. As we arrive at the closing of this reading, the energy does not fade, it deepens. Two of the most profound archetypes step forward now, and their presence brings a sense of completion, but also powerful transformation. The first is death. Despite its intimidating name, this card is not about physical endings. It speaks of inner evolution, of cycles closing so that new ones can begin. What stands out strongly here is your ability to shed. You are not someone who clings to outdated versions of yourself. When something no longer aligns, whether it's a mindset, a habit, or even a version of your identity, you eventually release it. And that process, while not always easy, is what keeps you growing. This is precisely what unsettles people. Many individuals remain within the same emotional patterns, the same beliefs, the same comfort zones for years, even decades. Change feels threatening to them, but you transform, quietly, consistently, sometimes even dramatically. Just when someone believes they have understood you, you've already moved beyond that version, not out of inconsistency, but out of growth. You are not trying to reinvent yourself for attention. You are responding to life as it unfolds, allowing it to shape you instead of resisting it. To someone who feels stuck, this kind of evolution can be hard to witness. It highlights their own resistance to change, and that's where comparison and sometimes envy begins, not because you are better, but because you are in motion while they feel still. Then comes the world, and with it, a sense of integration. This card doesn't suggest perfection, it suggests wholeness. It reflects a stage where you begin to understand yourself more completely. Your strengths, your flaws, your past, your direction, they start to come together into something that feels cohesive. You are no longer at war with yourself in the same way. There is acceptance, and from that acceptance comes a quiet confidence. To others, this can look like you have it all together, even if internally you are still learning and evolving. They see the outcome, not the process. They feel the stability, not the effort it took to build it. And yes, some may project onto you the idea that you represent everything they want to be. But it's important to stay grounded here. You are not a finished product, and neither is anyone else. Growth doesn't end, it simply changes form. The metaphor of the lighthouse captures this dynamic well, but it's worth understanding it in a balanced way. A lighthouse doesn't shine to prove anything, and it doesn't shine for others' approval. It simply functions according to its design. In the same way, when you are aligned with your values and aware of yourself, your presence naturally has an effect. Some people benefit from it, some misunderstand it, and some may even feel uncomfortable around it. But that doesn't mean you should ignore how your energy interacts with others either. Being authentic doesn't require being indifferent. You can remain grounded in who you are while still being respectful, aware, and thoughtful in how you engage with people. There's a difference between dimming yourself and developing emotional intelligence, and the latter is what sustains healthy relationships. If you've been sensing jealousy or tension from others, the key takeaway isn't to assume everyone is against you. It's to stay observant without becoming guarded to the point of isolation. Keep your boundaries clear, your intentions honest, and your focus on your own path. The right people won't be threatened by your growth. They'll be inspired by it or simply accept it. At its core, this message isn't about being above others or untouchable. It's about recognizing that personal growth creates change, not just within you, but in how others respond to you. Some reactions will be positive, some won't. That's part of any visible transformation. You don't need to shrink to make that easier for others, but you also don't need to carry their reactions as your responsibility. So, as this reading closes, the message is steady and grounded. Continue evolving, stay self-aware, protect your energy where necessary, and remain open where it feels right. The more aligned you are with yourself, the less external reactions will define your direction. And that's where real stability comes from, not from how others see you, but from how clearly you see yourself.